Hi, I'm John Little, and this is the Shockcast for Saturday, September 1st, 2018. But before getting started today, I want to add a brief note. As of today, I have started creating playlists on YouTube of the videos that are referenced in this Shockcast, in the Friday post on Omega Shock. Today's playlist includes more videos than I mentioned in this Shockcast, so take a look at those 10 videos after we are finished here. You will find the links to that playlist in the description below, and also at the end of this video. Click one of those boxes. Now let's begin with today's program. Stop the deception. It's hard to see the truth with all the lies swirling about, and there seem to be fewer and fewer people that you can trust. So how do you get to the truth? That's a tough one, especially since your first opponent on the road to truth is yourself. Yes, you are an incredible obstacle to seeing the truth. This is true for all of us. The question is, are you willing to let go of yourself to find something as precious as the truth? I have to keep telling myself this, which is why I'm telling you. You will never see the truth if you keep standing in the way of it. Last week I talked about that little lie that leads to genocide. It's also a lie that we keep telling ourselves, and it seems to be one of those lies that always leads to more and more trouble. We keep saying, it's not our fault, when it really is our fault. We may stand at the pinnacle of God's creation, but history shows that we are dumber than a box of rocks and a bag of hammers. We never learn, and we always blame someone else for why we never learn. Every time God sets us upon the right track, we jump right off again. It doesn't matter how many miracles God demonstrates. It doesn't matter that we have countless examples in history of people doing the same stupid thing that we're doing. It doesn't matter that we have a book with the words of God in it. We'll still act like morons and go off on our own stupid course. I'm surprised that God hasn't killed us all off and started over. And I really don't know why he hasn't, other than the fact that he loves us. And no, I don't understand that either. But I'm not complaining. Well, Karen J. sent me on this course of thinking when she sent me an email last week, and it was this link from forbiddenknowledgetv.net. Always be careful about someone who gives their website the title of Forbidden Knowledge. Far too many people go there, and you don't want to. Of course, there's forbidden knowledge forbidden by the elites, and then there's knowledge forbidden by God. Knowing the difference is important. And no, the author of this website doesn't. And then there's the guy who did the video that the link talks about. Mouthy Buddha? Buddha? Seriously? And that's why I originally wasn't going to listen to it, but I had some extra time on my hands over the weekend, and Karen is pretty good with the links that she shares. So I listened. And here, you can listen too. And it will actually be in the playlist that I've just created. QAnon, a Mouthy Buddha project. I know. You might have to hold your nose to get past the title of the channel. I know that I did, but the video does provide some interesting points about our willingness to believe things that we want to believe. We want to believe that QAnon really is Donald Trump or someone close to him. We want to believe that Donald Trump is going to save America. We want to believe that the future is bright and there is no need for worry. We want to believe that we are smart and intelligent and can handle the threats that we face. Of course, none of that is true, although the first one might be true. I could add a lot to that list, but I don't want to get distracted from the main point of the video. Self-deception. The video doesn't use that phrase, but it's still the main point. What the video does do is give names and titles to a couple of different kinds of self-deception, and here's a list of a few. Baader-Meinhof phenomenon, cognitive bias, confirmation bias, frequency illusion, That's just what the video talks about. You'll find a lot more in the Wikipedia article I linked to. And it's actually a list of cognitive biases. Yes, I know that Wikipedia is a flawed website, but every website is flawed, including mine. And Wikipedia is a good jumping off point in your study of delusion. And when you go down the list of cognitive biases in this article, you'll find that a lot will help you describe the insanity around us. If you want to know why the people working for Twitter and Facebook really believe that they are doing the right thing to suppress your freedom of speech, it's there. If you want to know why the Democrats are so hysterical over Donald Trump, it's there. If you want to know why this or that delusion is present at this or that location, it's there. Of course, the origin of all of this is sin, and Wikipedia doesn't like to talk about that. So if you really want to learn about self-delusion, please make sure that you are reading your Bible. The Bible, with the aid of the Holy Spirit, is the best antidote to self-delusion there is. And I found myself caught in a few of those delusions. Seriously. That's one of the reasons why I talk about delusion so much. I've been caught, and I don't want you to be caught. And I must warn you that I might still be caught. Really, some things aren't as bad as we think, and that is another side of our propensity to self-delusion. We sometimes go too far the other way. I just saw this article from Martin Armstrong, and it represents or presents an excellent example of what I'm talking about. It's titled, "Attributing All-Powerful Ability to CIA is Not Warranted." Does the CIA do some pretty awful things? Are they pretty powerful? Yes, but they have limits, lots of them. I've made countless observations about Mossad and the time that I spend observing the CFR, but both of those organizations are extremely limited. And that thought doesn't stop the hysteria that surrounds them. Please remember my obsession with the flat earthers. I always talk about them because they represent a kind of delusion that we are all in danger of falling into. I call it the flat earth mentality, and I see it everywhere. No, not everyone is a flat earther. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that there are people who have picked up an idea, wrapped a conspiracy theory around it, and then turned it into a movement. The latest example of this comes from an Omega Shock reader who claims that black Africans are the true Israelites of the Old Testament. And he wrote to me recently talking about having moved his family to Angola, of all places, claiming that they are the tribe of Ephraim, and no, don't laugh at him. He got caught in a lie that was specifically tailored for those like him. And I can tell you that there are lies with your name on them, just waiting for you to claim them for your own. So please, stop the self-delusion, stop the self-deception. Death lies at that door. Now we get to the next important part of the Shockcast, the news and analysis from the past week. But before going on, take a moment to click the subscribe button below and hit the bell to be notified when the next Shockcast happens. Those of you listening via MP3, make sure that you are subscribed to the Shock Letter at theshockletter.com. And there's an important reason to be subscribed to the Shock Letter, since I usually do not have the time on the Shockcast to talk about more than just a quarter of the news that I analyze at Omega Shock and the Shock Letter. So subscribe to the Shock Letter and get all the news and links that I analyze for free. In fact, everyone should sign up for the Shock Letter. Subscription and subscribing and unsubscribing is easy, and there's no way that I would ever share the subscription list with anyone. Period. I'm not in this for the money and never will be. Seriously, there are better ways to make money than this. Okay, so let's talk about what will be in this section. We'll be talking about the grand solar minimum. Then there's peak oil, and you've heard me talk about that a lot, and I will keep talking about it. Then there's a possible financial collapse beginning this fall, an interesting way that a hoax can occur accidentally, and I almost got caught doing that, the war against freedom of speech, and then there's Gog and Magog. So here are three articles from about the grand solar minimum. And I may need to create a new category called Grand Solar Minimum. This first one is Grand Solar Minimum Easy to Understand Extreme Weather Timeline to 2021. It's a YouTube video. And this is an important discussion of the Grand Solar Minimum. If David Dubin and others are correct, this will be the worst Grand Solar Minimum in thousands of years. I can't independently verify this claim, but the Bible speaks in Revelation of conditions that sound like the result of something like this. So please pay attention to this, and I certainly will be myself. Then, there's an entry about the white stork in Wikipedia. And Chris in Poland mentioned something very interesting in a comment that he left a few days ago. He said, quote, talking about the white storks, "They are common for Polish rural landscape and are welcome despite huge nests they build on the rooftops for being vicious killers of rodents and insects. Poland hosts their largest population and they typically migrate to Central Africa in the first few weeks of September. You may have seen them flying over Israel, and in fact, I have. This year, they all left Poland before the end of July, and this has never happened before. Like fruit trees, they probably felt something coming." Close quote. For some reason, animals seem to have the ability to sense the coming of winter, and how ferocious that winter will be. And migrating birds, with their sensitivity to climate and the Earth's magnetic field, well, an early start to their winter migration would be something to pay attention to. And yes, Israel has been the land bridge to Africa for the white stork, along with a number of other migratory birds. Lots of bird watchers would hang out near the Kinneret, Sea of Galilee, or in the Hula Valley to take pictures of the birds passing through. Thanks for that update, Chris. This winter and the ones after are going to be interesting. The next one is from Martin Armstrong of Armstrong Economics. It's titled, "The Hunger Stones Have Appeared." Chris also shared this from Martin Armstrong, and here are a few interesting quotes from Martin's article. Quote, "Our model warned that volcanic activity would rise beginning here in 2018, correlated with a decline in the energy output of the sun, which should have begun in 2015. Note that the hunger stones also mark the year 1811. While this is 1 year prior to the eruption in the West Indies in 1812, there is what has been called the 1808-1809 mystery volcanic eruption, which seems to have set in motion a mini ice age during the early 1800s. This was a monumental volcanic eruption in the VEI 6 range, which appears to have taken place in late 1808. This event preceded the 1815 eruption of Mount Tambora, a VEI 7, which produced the year without a summer in 1816. Then another quote from the same article. Quote, "However, one catastrophic VE16 plus eruption is not the only volcano that erupted. This is why we have warned that the cyclical period for volcanic eruptions turned up in 2018. In 1808, there were major additional eruptions in Ursulina, the Azores, during May 1st to 4th, as well as the Taal volcano in the Philippines during March that year. There was also the Chilean Putana volcano, which had a major eruption during the 1808-1810. Records are not precise. This period is then followed by the truly massive 1815 eruption of Mount Tambora in the Dutch East Indies. This one is attributed with creating the year without a summer because it was the largest eruption in at least 1,300 years that has been recorded. This event was followed by the 1814 eruption of Mayon in the Philippines, which appears to have been or to have contributed to the weather changes of cooling, creating an accumulative event." Close quote. Then another quote. I know I'm quoting a lot from this article, but it's an important one. "In Mesopotamia, a source quoted by Michael the Syrian circa 1166 or to 1199 AD, and Bar Hebraeus, 1246 to 1286, records that in the year 848 of the Greeks, or 536 AD, the sun was dark, and its darkness lasted for 18 months. Each day it shone for about 4 hours, and still this light was only a feeble shadow. The fruits did not ripen, and wine tasted like sour grapes. Close quote. Okay, that was a lot of quoting, but I think, hopefully, you'll understand the seriousness of this. This means that we aren't imagining the increasing earthquake and volcanic activity. It is happening, and it's right on schedule. Unfortunately, a lot of other things are right on schedule, such as the last days. The unsettling thought is that we are moving into the same time period that brought the Dark Ages to Europe. Remember what Martin Armstrong quoted about 585 and those volcanic eruptions. Of course, the Bible has foretold events like this, so it should not be a surprise that someone like Martin Armstrong provides confirmation. God uses natural events to fulfill prophecy, and I see the hand of God in this cycle. Unfortunately, Martin Armstrong doesn't seem to see God at work, which is a tragedy. Thank you, Chris, for yet another unsettling bit of news. Be careful out there, kids. Dark times are coming. Now, 2 articles about peak oil. This one is, what if there isn't enough energy going forward? From Zero Hedge. Peak oil is already here. In fact, you can even see it in a chart produced by ExxonMobil. In this article that I'm linking to, it happened right about 2005, just as predicted, meaning peak oil. Of course, the predictions did not take into account the fact that cheap debt would fuel the extraction of more expensive oil, an oil that could not be produced without lots and lots of cheap debt to make it possible. But the era of cheap debt is almost over. Without cheap debt, we won't be able to afford to create biofuels or extract natural gas liquids, tight oil, oil sands, or even deep water oil. Unfortunately, people can't do math, so we are doomed to suffer a collapse in the availability of portable energy. Now, could someone please tell, and this is a personal note, please tell Adam Taggart and Chris Hedges at Peak Prosperity that I cannot, or I should say it's difficult, to recommend their articles because they are blocking Taiwan Internet Protocol addresses. It's hard. I can't link to their website because they're blocking Taiwan IPs. If I can't see them on their site, they can't expect me to refer my readers to them. Chris? Adam? Are you paying attention? Anyway, the next one is energonomics or energonics. Okay, he made that up. The relationship between energy and GDP, from Scottish Skeptic. And my family comes from Scotland, so anyway, just don't do the Glasgow shuffle. I'm only saying. Okay, the above article references to this one. So these 2 articles are together. And it shows without a doubt that the relationship between energy and GDP is 1-to-1. So when energy becomes less and less available, the global economy will fall at the same rate as energy. Basically, it means that peak oil will destroy everything that you thought was normal and dependable. Your life will be turned upside down, and you will become used to seeing death, violence, and destruction. And maybe you'll wind up being one of those destroyed. And that's what I'm afraid of. Now, there's one article on the possible collapse beginning this fall. It's actually not an article, it's a YouTube video. And it's titled Situation Critical, This Fall May Be It. And it's from Mike from On Point Preparedness. And he picked up on the same interview that Greg Hunter did with Jim Sinclair and Bill Holter. And it's a video that I also link in the playlist. And I must say that what Mike says here makes sense. And in fact, it was what he said that got me to pay a bit more attention to this video. This is an unusual warning that Jim Sinclair rarely makes. I've heard Bill give warnings of possible events, but not Jim. And we are seeing a cascade of financial troubles on the periphery of global financial markets. Now, as Mike says, this is just a warning. It is not certain that markets will collapse this fall, but we will need to be a little extra watchful. We'll see what happens at the end of this month or into the next. Now, here's one article, and it's an interesting way that a hoax can occur accidentally, from yours truly. It was originally titled Home Depot Fires Guy Because He Rescued Kid from Kidnapper. And the guy's name was Dylan Reagan. It was Oregon in 2017. When Home Depot got lots of bad press over this, basically he chased down a kidnapper who had kidnapped a little kid, they decided, because they fired him, they decided to rehire him. He decided not to go back to that job, which I completely understand. Home Depot, get your act together, guys. And it's a kind of revolting thing that makes me want to bash heads. I'm sorry. And to be fair, it may be only just that Home Depot that was the problem. Now, there's an interesting twist to this story. Originally, I would have just been upset about this guy being fired from Home Depot. But I went to go look to verify this story, as I try to do about these kinds of things. And it first hit the news on July 7th, 2017. The news about this was pretty much over by July 11th of 2017. But while I was attempting to verify this story, I ran across another story from a month later, in August. It said that Dylan Reagan had died, and the date was August 9th. And I go like, wait a second. He was fired, they offered him to go back to work, and then he dies? I was a little shocked at this, and their pictures seemed to be similar enough when you look at the pictures of these two guys. And so they could be the same person. And they were kind of in the same area. They were certainly close enough to be the same person. And I thought, did he commit suicide over this? Well, I wasn't ready to make that claim, but I needed to do some extra checking to make sure. And I'm glad to say that I did that extra checking, because no, he did not commit suicide. They were not the same person. The other Dylan Reagan, died of cancer, while this one is alive and thriving, working for another company. The moral of the story, always double check your facts. Always. This is how some hoaxes, lies, and false facts get traction. Don't be someone who passes on a hoax. I know there have been a couple of times where I got caught by one of these. But please check. And develop a nose for how a hoax sounds like, looks like. There's a certain look to them. So please double check these things. Okay, moving on. There are 5 articles about the war against freedom of speech. It's hard to believe that I need to actually make this a category, but I guess that I need to. I am truly horrified by this concerted attempt by the mainstream media and social media to shut down anyone that disagrees with them. This is sick and twisted, and it's an attempt to limit your ability to obtain the kinds of facts that you need to share and see the future clearly. And yes, they really do want to control what and how you think. And so the first link is tech companies are gathering for a secret meeting to prepare a 2018 election strategy. Their explanation is, we're just fighting the Russians. What they really mean is, we want to stop the Republicans. I am sickened by this subterfuge and their attempt to manipulate Americans into believing lies. Just the fact that they are meeting in downtown San Francisco might be all that you need to know. Unfortunately, this means that we all need to work harder to neutralize the lies that they are attempting to force upon us. And then this next one that I actually called a must-watch, and I mean it. It's titled The Creepy Line Trailer, and it's a YouTube video, and it's also in the playlist that I will hopefully be able to link at the end of this article. Certainly that link is here in the description below. This really is a must-watch video, and it's just a trailer to the main video. You need to share this video with everyone that you know, everyone. And when the video comes out, watch it. The evil needs to be exposed. Only sunlight, and sun, as in the Son of God, light, can disinfect the corruption that this video is showing. The creepy line, and Google is playing on that creepy line, and you are the target. Okay, the next one is Censored, how online media companies are suppressing conservative speech. This is an excellent article, and I want to quote the high points of it. Quote, "War is being declared on the conservative movement in this space, and conservatives are losing badly. If the right is silenced, billions of people will be cut off from conservative ideas and conservative media. It's the new battleground of media bias, but it's worse. That bias is not a war of ideas, it's a war against ideas. It's a clear effort to censor the conservative worldview from the public conversation. The Media Research Center has undertaken an extensive study of the problem at major tech companies, Twitter, Facebook, Google, and YouTube, and the results are far more troubling than most conservatives realize. Here are a few of the key findings," and I'm still quoting, and I have included only the title of each of their main findings. There's a whole lot more in the article. Twitter leads in censorship. Facebook's trending feed has been hiding conservative topics. Google search aids Democrats. YouTube is shutting down conservative videos. Tech firms are relying on groups that hate conservatives. Liberal Twitter advisors outnumber conservatives 12-1. Tech companies rely on anti-conservative fact-checkers. Now that's a close quote. It was a long quote, and it's just an excerpt of the executive summary of their report. So I was just quoting a small part of the executive summary that is a small part of a really big study. The only way that I can understand this is to reflect upon the bubble that these fiends from hell live in. And remember what the main part of this broadcast was about: self-deception. The attitudes that make up their environment, the sheer scale of the brainwashing that everyone at these companies has gone through to even get in the door. I guess that I need to give them something of a break because they don't know any better. But that works only up to a certain point. Even though I'm willing to give the left-wing morons a bit of a break over their foolish ideas that they've been brainwashed into believing, one thing that they cannot be given a break over is their dishonesty. Everyone knows what a lie is. And these people are lying and lying and lying and lying and lying and lying some more. They are lying liars, and there is no excuse for that. They know that they're lying. And you will find more reports on the suppression of your ability to speak in the new category that I have created for a megashock: the war against freedom of speech. You are the target, kids. Be careful out there. Now here's a censorship example, and it is actually Google censoring my article called "The Truth About Israel 2018 edition," and it's not the only article of mine that Google is censoring in their search results. And I can't believe it. After talking about being shadow banned in Google search results, I did a quick test to see if this article popped up in their search results, and I actually gave the search term in double quotes, the truth about Israel. Again, in double quotes, the truth about Israel. My article should have popped up on the first page, but you will not find my article anywhere in Google search results. Not when you narrow the search to 12 months. Not when you narrow the search to a 4-month time frame. Even when I limited the search to just April and May, then just to May, I didn't find the article. In fact, there was no time frame in which I could find this article, even when I searched for the day in which the article was published. I found references to the article, even on OmegaShock, but Google refused to return search results of that article, pointing directly to the article at all, in any form, in any way. Now, some of my articles do get through, but only when the number of possible results is small. Here's an example of a result that did not go through. This one was titled Secret Deals. I did a search for secret deals and did not find it anywhere, no matter what time frame I used. But when I did a search for Why Israel Matters, the article did show up. And it's the one where I talk about Randall Smith and, of course, Why Israel Matters. Sure, I had to dig deep in the search results that few would reach because most people don't get past the first, second, or third page, but it was there, so I don't claim censorship on this article, although they may be suppressing it a bit. And there are a few other articles of mine that you cannot and will not find via Google unless you add the word OmegaShock. But when you use other search engines like Bing, DuckDuckGo, and others, the results pop up just fine without having to add OmegaShock. They just come out, in fact, on the first page. This is absolute proof, in my mind, that they are deliberately censoring content that they do not want you to see. And who knows? They may be censoring this YouTube video because I am criticizing them. They do that. Now, here's one called Hidden Camera, Twitter Engineers to Ban a Way of Talking Through Shadow Banning. And it's from a YouTube video from a few months ago. Do you remember that video? This is from Project Veritas, where they went undercover to find out how Twitter censors people. And they discovered how they shadow ban. In light of what is happening, I think that this video is worth looking at again. And I think that I included it in the playlist. Now, here's one last article, so we're almost done. It's about Gog and Magog, and I've been writing about the coming of Gog and Magog for a while. You can find a lot of that in ezekielsfire.com. And the articles below, or this article, points to that coming. I really hope that you'll be ready for this. Please read Ezekiel's Fire to make sure. And yes, it is free. Now, this article is titled Iran on Edge, an Insider's Prophetic Perspective. It's from the Underground, number 99, and it's a YouTube video, and it's in the playlist. Lord willing, it will show up. There are two reasons why you need to pay attention to this video. The most important is that the gospel is reaching millions of people in Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Tajikistan. People are coming to Christ in massive numbers, and that is beyond awesome. It is incredible. If that was the only thing that you heard from this video, that would be enough. And an enough reason for you to read and watch, and to watch this video. But unfortunately, there's a really dark tone to this that you need to pay attention to because it could mean your life. Iran is very close to revolution and civil war. Very close. And this is the second reason why this video is so important. A nation with this much internal strife is also a nation that is close to starting a war elsewhere. And when talking about Iran, I'm concerned that this will be Gog and Magog. Is Gog and Magog ready to happen? Certainly not this year. And I doubt that it would happen even in 2029, since we don't have the allies of Russia in a strong enough alignment. But the problems in Iran are going to push Iran hard. So please be watchful. Libya still hasn't been pacified yet, and Libya must be a part of this. We also don't have one of the Kush language groups, such as Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Somalia, in parts of Sudan. So until we see that, we can breathe more easily. But a lot can happen in a short amount of time. So Gog and Magog is still on the horizon. And please remember that Gog and Magog brings Ezekiel's fire, which is why I believe that this video represents or talks about a threat to you personally. It will be a horrifying level of destruction, and you could wind up dying if you are not prepared. For Israel, it will be the ingathering of the Jews to Christ, and I'm really excited about that thought, just as the ingathering of Iranians to Christ is also exciting. The world will truly shake, in more ways than one. Well, that's it for this week's Shockcast. I truly hope that you'll be ready for what is coming. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And that's Proverbs 22:3. If you find a flaw in my reasoning, have a question, or wish to add your own viewpoint, leave a comment on the Omega Shock website or in the comment section below. You'll see that below. Omega Shock readers and Shockcast listeners leave awesome comments, and I value each and every one of them. Sorry, again, make sure that you are subscribed to the Shock Letter at theshockletter.com. In fact, everyone should sign up for the Shock Letter. It's free. Subscribing and unsubscribing is easy, and there's no way that I would ever share the subscription list with anyone. Period. You have my promise on that. For those of you on YouTube, hit that subscription button below and click the bell to get notifications. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. All of that helps you and me get the message out. And as this video ends, you'll see links appearing in boxes within this video. Those links will take you to other Shockcasts, a link to subscribe to the Shockcast, as well as a link to the playlist of the important videos of this past week. And you will see the links to that playlist in the comment section below also. So if you don't see the links that you're looking for in the video, go down to the comment section. And so, allow me to close with this blessing from Numbers 6, 24 to 26. Yevarechecha Yehovah Yeshmirecha. Ya'er Yehovah Panav Elecha V'yichuneka. Yisa Yehovah Panav Elecha V'yisem Lecha Shalom. The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. Numbers 6, 24 to 26. May your pastor give you the words that you need to continue walking the path that God calls you to follow. And Lord willing, I will see all of you next week.